Hello all, I'm Rachel Floyd and I'm the Language Program Supervisor in French at the University of Arizona. I'm excited to talk about my thoughts on language textbooks today. I'm just going to start with a general reflection. Here at UGA, textbooks currently serve as the backbone of our program because it gives instructors and students a shared structure across multiple sections. When I started in this position, I really felt that textbooks had simplified cultural perspectives, and they felt very constricting or constraining on the creative process that is teaching. But what I've found since the 2 years that I've been here has been that textbooks have given a good structure, and that they're flexible tools that can support gradual change in a curriculum towards communicative or even further pedagogies. So when selecting textbooks, the key kind of criteria that I'm looking at is first the pedagogical approach, because we're seeing if that pedagogical approach fits with the student course value, the student learning outcomes. And then we're also looking at student and instructor resources. So, are there grammar videos for students to support flipped classrooms? And are there extra kinds of activities that the instructors have access to? We're also looking at accessibility. So is it a user-friendly platform? Are people with diverse learning disabilities able to access the online website that the textbook may use? And then finally, we're looking at diversity or linguistic and cultural diversity. So both the different cultures, francophone cultures that a textbook might discuss, but also the depth of cultural discussion that can go on within the textbook, as well as the ability for the textbook to support additional activities or documents that we may want to add over time. I want to talk a little bit about the process of selecting a textbook now. So within the past 2 years, we have selected a new textbook. I came in, and the textbook for the second level that we had, it was a little bit older, and it was not well liked by students or the instructors. And so we started the process of selecting a new textbook. And what we did was we joined together TAs, another instructor, and myself, or 2 other instructors and myself, and set a rubric and evaluated 2 textbooks for both levels, so the 100 level and the 200 level. I selected these 2 specifically because I felt one was particularly strong in the amount of materials that were available, and they were also diverse kinds of materials that were available. So things that might help grammar, things that might help vocab, things that might help communication, things that might help the 4 skills, reading, writing, listening, speaking. There's just a lot there. And then the other textbook that I chose to present to our team was one that had a particular pedagogical approach, a task-based approach that had maybe fewer resources, but a more targeted pedagogical approach. Whereas the first that I just mentioned had it's more about you get to choose your own approach. It doesn't have a particular pedagogical orientation. And so I presented that to the team. They evaluated the textbook based on the criteria that I mentioned before, along with many others, things like cost, etc. And we decided to, for the first 3 courses in this sequence, choose the first textbook that I mentioned, the one that has a lot of resources, and then for the last course in the sequence, which we felt was a little bit different because fewer students take it, because it's more rarely a necessity for them to take it, we chose the one that has a task-based learning approach. ensuring that it is in alignment with the curriculum and our SLOs can be a little difficult, because it can feel like shoehorning it in a little bit. But what I've seen so far has been a process of iterative change over time. So part of the reason that we even decided to go with tech books instead of an OER, for example, was because change kind of has to happen slowly, one step at a time. I think switching to OERs would have been way too fast, way too much, way too fast. And so that's definitely been a challenge for me, in that there are things that I want. I want more cultural diversity in the textbook. I want more, meaningful language production and not just grammar practice. But that change kind of has to happen slowly over time, because we have a diversity of perspectives in the program on how language learning and language teaching should take place. So that's definitely been a challenge. I think the benefits of this process has been that we've kind of tried to get everybody on the same page, because we did it as a group. We've tried to, include all perspectives across instructors, and we're even in the process of getting feedback from students on this textbook and on the selection process. And did a little bit of that in the process as well, getting student perspectives. So aligning it with the SLOs can be a challenge. When I mentioned that iterative nature of development, of curriculum development, I think that includes adding activities, adding assessments that ensure alignment with the SLOs. So making sure that the activities that don't meet the SLOs aren't being assigned, and ensuring that we develop new activities that can be assigned that will help students reach those student learning outcomes. So that was the process overall on selection and adaptation. And I think how we ensure textbooks reflect diverse, inclusive, and accessible content for all students is a matter of again, iterative development. So seeing what we have, exploring our options there, and then adding in as needed. So moving on to implementation and instructor support. So the training that we provide for instructors has been group training provided by the textbook. So we get everybody together on Zoom, and they kind of go over how it works. I think there are ways that this could have been improved, and I'm already implementing a change for next year to ensure that all instructors can more effectively integrate the textbook into their course. They're provided with syllabi, and I think making sure they have not only onboarding training, so before the semester starts, but also some just-in-time training throughout the semester, so they know what they need right when they need it, just like we try to do for our students. And I think it's been interesting, some strategies that have worked best helping instructors use those textbooks to meet the needs of our students. We have kind of a wide variety of needs from our instructors, and I've done really well with some, and I could improve the way that I have supported instructors in other ways. So for example, I have one instructor who wanted additional training and reached out, and I set that up, and she was able to get the support that she needed in time. But I had another instructor who reached out to the textbook support online, got the runaround, and she decided that she doesn't want to use this textbook anymore, and has chosen to teach other courses that don't use this textbook because she had such a bad experience with the technology support of this textbook. And only after the fact was I able to get her one-on-one instructional support, tech support, for this particular textbook. So just kind of, I think overall what I could have done, what could be done, is ensuring that you have meetings about these things, ensuring that you're touching base with your instructors, and making sure that they have that just-in-time training to support their not only their pedagogy but also the technology that they're using, because it can be uncomfortable for them. So that's my first bit of advice when they're considering a shift in their textbook approach. If you're considering supplementing your textbook or replacing it or moving towards an OER, I really encourage you first to look at your student learning outcomes. What is it that you want students to get out of your program, out of your classes, and seeing if the textbook that you have or any other textbooks might better support your students to do that. That's maybe replacing. If you're thinking about supplementing your textbook, just seeing where the holes are, right? Identifying where the holes in your instruction are, where students are not currently meeting your student learning outcomes, and ensuring that you add activities that support that. And that might be within the platform of the textbook itself, if the textbook allows for creating your own activities. It's always nice when they do that. Or it might be in particular in the classroom. Now, there can be a challenge with that if you're trying to supplement textbook stuff in the classroom because of the amount of instructors you may be overseeing. So it can be a challenge to ensure that all instructors are giving the same level of support for a supplemental thing, ensuring that the students get the support for the student learning outcome. So you kind of have to be careful with classroom interventions, just because you have to also oversee the implementation of something in a textbook, in the classroom rather. And then if you're considering moving towards an OER, I think the first thing that you need to consider is your team. So who is on your team? What are their beliefs about language learning and teaching? And how much work are they already doing? Because an OER is a lot of work. It is a lot of work to adapt or to even just to use an OER. And you have to ensure that the instructors who may already feel overworked, the TAs who have so much work on their plate as graduate students, have the support that they need for an OER. And that might mean piloting it yourself and seeing how you're able to do it. It might mean if you're moving from a more traditional approach to language learning in your program, that might mean first moving to a communicative textbook, and then 5-10 years down the line shifting towards an OER. So really having a long-term plan in your head for where you want to get to, and not getting there too fast, would be my advice if you want to move towards an OER. I would love to see in the future, textbooks have a greater acknowledgement, have a better critical lens. I think a lot of them now have been seeing that they need to include a lot of la francophonie or a lot of the Spanish-speaking world. They need to include those perspectives, but we're still seeing a lot of I think it's the 4 Fs, I can't entirely remember off the top of my head, but like festivals and food and that kind of thing that anybody can talk about that don't really have that critical lens. And I understand why they don't, because it's not necessarily mass marketable or that kind of thing. But I would really love to see either textbooks getting that or us adding that to textbooks themselves, if textbooks are even still used. I don't know that OERs will ever be widely adapted because of the amount of technological support that it takes to create and to maintain an OER, and getting the funding for that, practically speaking, might be too difficult. But I don't think that means that we need to give up on it. I think that the OERs provide us with something that is absolutely essential, that is missing from our textbooks, and that can't necessarily be present in our textbooks. That critical lens, the updated, modern, authentic materials that OERs provide, and that personal touch, that personal perspective, especially in the States for American students and for international students as well. So that is what I would love to see for OERs and for textbooks. Developing further, additionally, I think it was Amy Rosamondo who had, and maybe Julian Lord, who had a paper on the world's not flat, so why are our textbooks? And that really changed my understanding of what a textbook could be. I'm looking for textbooks to take it off of the page, to make it be something that is completely different. And I don't even want to think about it as a textbook anymore. I want to think about it like a learning website or something like that. That is what I would really like to see for textbooks. And I would like, there's so many things I would like for textbooks to do. But I don't think we'll ever be fully rid of textbooks. I think they do provide that essential structure for a program that might need it. But I think we can always consider our long-term goals of creating something that is that serves everyone and that acknowledges the diversity of perspectives that we have in our classroom and the diversity of perspectives that we want to share with the students who are in our classroom. So that's all I have. Thank you so much for watching.